All right, everybody, welcome back to yet again another 2022-2023 season preview. We move on yet again with the San Jose Sharks today. Obviously, the Sharks are one of those teams that is kind of winding down, heading towards a rebuild, and this could possibly be the first year that this team kind of goes full teardown mode. Maybe potentially, they obviously have a brand new GM in Mike Grier, new coach in David Quinn. A lot of things have changed for this San Jose Sharks team 100%. But taking a look at last season, they went 32, 37, and 13 for 77 points with 214 goals scored and 264 goals against. And they obviously missed the playoffs. Their leading scorer was Timo Meier, who put up 35 goals, 41 assists for 76 points. And then James Reimer was obviously your goaltender in net with a 19, 17, and 10 record with a 2.90 goals against average. So, it was obviously a season where San Jose was kind of basically more or less just mediocre. I mean, this team was kind of just that one team where it's like, yeah, I mean, they really didn't do anything exciting, but their offseason wasn't like tremendous, but their offseason wasn't. Well, no, their season, well, it wasn't tremendous. Their offseason wasn't. Their season wasn't tremendous, but their season also wasn't horrible. It was kind of just mediocre or mid, at best, to be honest with you. But they did have a pretty eventful offseason, and their offseason wasn't spectacular, but it wasn't horrible. I say it was actually pretty good. The departures, Brent Burns, Rudolph Balcers, Jonathan Dahlen, Ryan Dzingel, Lane Peterson, and John Leonard. No really eye-openers except for Brent Burns. But people have been saying that the Brent Burns contract is really not that good, and it really isn't. It's not the best contract in the world. If San Jose wants to get better, they're definitely going to need to move out some of those big contracts on the blue line, starting with Brent Burns 100%. More or less, all the other guys were kind of just depth players. Dzingel was an experiment that really didn't play out too well, and then the other guys weren't really that big of deals either. But their acquisitions were a lot of young players. Luke Kunin, Oscar Lindblom, Matt Benning, and Marcus Nudavara are some of your most notable acquisitions there, obviously. Some good acquisitions. I mean, some top six in Lindblom and Kunin. With how weak this San Jose team is, they definitely will be top six. And then obviously guys like Benning and Nudavara will most likely be some depth players. Benning could honestly get a top 4 spot with the defense in San Jose this coming season. But anyways, the window's wide open for San Jose right now and Matt Benning in regards to that. And we'll see if Benning can really solidify himself with the Sharks. You look at your top 6 here. You have Timo Meier, Tomas Hertl, and Alexander Barabanov. You have Oscar Lindblom, Logan Couture, and Luke Kunin. Now, first off, Barabanov may not be unknown to people, and I am not going to deny that that right wing side, is definitely weaker. It is definitely significantly weaker than previous years in San Jose, but it's not as bad as people may think. Barabanov actually played really well this season for the Sharks, and in some of the games that I watched for San Jose, he definitely looked good as well. But obviously some good acquisitions in Kunin and Lindblom, most likely going to be second-line forwards to help out with the secondary scoring behind Meier and Hertl. And obviously Logan Couture is your captain as well. Your bottom 6 now, Noah Gregor, Nick Bonino, Kevin Labanc, Matt Nieto, Nico Sturm, Steve Lorentz. Then you have William Eklund. Yeah, William Eklund. I blanked for a second there. Scott Reedy, and then you have Jesper Weatherby as well. So you have some options, I guess, but I would honestly say that bottom 6 has got to be one of the weakest in the NHL. Absolutely. You don't see any players that are really eye-openers to you. There is some solid players. Nieto's all right. Sturm's all right. Bonino's all right. Lorentz is a solid young forward who definitely could, and I'm absolutely going to admit this, he actually could flourish in San Jose if he gets the right playing time. But to be honest with you, it is definitely one of the weaker bottom 6s out there, 100%, and I don't think that it is not solidified at all. Definitely not. And I think that it could get significantly weaker as the season moves along. You look at their defense now. You have Marc-Edouard Vlasic and Erik Karlsson. Then you have Mario Ferrara and Matt Benning. Then you have Radim Simek and Marcus Nudavara. Then you have Jacob Magna as an extra defender there as well. But there's some other defenders who could come into play. Nikolai Kazikov looks interesting. Ryan Merkley could come in. So we'll see what is to come there for the Sharks defense. But right now, it's decently weak. Vlasic and Karlsson, it's an all right first pairing, and then it kind of just falls off after that. Ferraro looks solid, and Benning will definitely take up some of the time that Brent Burns played 100%, but I don't see that defense being really eye-opening. It's definitely one of the worser defenses in the entire NHL. And then obviously your goaltending tandem is Kaapo Kähkönen and James Reimer. Then you have Aaron Dell as a third-string goaltender. Now, James Reimer could be a solid trade piece in the future if the Sharks want to get better in other areas. But as of right now, I think he probably stays with San Jose, and same with Kaapo Kähkönen as well, as he's obviously signed that 2-year, $5.5 million contract. We'll see what is to come there for those guys, but I think the goaltending is not horrible, but it's definitely not like amazing. You look at your biggest questions, will they tank? That's the question that I have. And I mean the Sharks for me, there's teams that are like full out tanking, like Chicago's tanking, Arizona's tanking. There's a couple other teams that may not admit it, but they're tanking, but those are the two solidified ones. The other two teams, and we'll get into Philadelphia in a later preview, but Philadelphia and San Jose are kind of the two teams that I see could actually just fall off a cliff. And San Jose, I don't think they've admitted that they're tanking, but they're definitely trying to build towards a brighter future. And I think if they're worse in this coming year's draft, then maybe they could actually have some better luck when it comes. And if they get Connor Bedard, if Connor Bedard comes to San Jose, which actually could be really interesting, I think that would be an amazing... That would definitely turn this franchise around for maybe probably and honestly, he's that good of a player that I think he could turn the franchise around for maybe 5 to 6 years of another cup window to maybe 3 or 4. So we could see a significant change there and when San Jose gets better faster, but we'll see, obviously. And then the other question is, what do you do with Timo Meier? Now, that's some of the questions that we've seen. It's gone all over. Meier's qualifying offer for next season is absolutely outrageous. I forget how much it is, but it's north of $7 million. It might even be upwards of $8 million. That is absolutely insane. And don't get me wrong, Meier is an amazing player, had an amazing season this year for the Sharks, but he is not worth anything more than probably $6 million. Or maybe 6.5. Maybe I could see a $7 million contract, but dead at 7. I can't see anything above that. Honestly, what do you do with him? He could be a trade piece come the trade deadline. And like I said, if a team like the Oilers, which we just did in a previous preview, maybe they want to go out and acquire a winger to bolster that top 6. Maybe they go look at Timo Meier and maybe they try and bring him in. He could be one of those players that could play a huge role, but we'll obviously see there what they do with Meier, obviously. Look at your point meter here, according to the Hockey News' fantasy guide here. You have, speaking of which, Timo Meier leading the way with 72 points. Then you have Tomas Hertl in second with 65. Logan Couture in third with 55. Carlson in fourth with 45. And then Barabanov rounding out the top 5 with 43. Obviously, Meier's likely going to lead. Hertl's probably going to be a close second. And then it's going to fall off all the way from there. Now, your sleeper or your bust. We didn't talk about him in the projected lineups, but he has definitely a key role. It's William Eklund. From former Swedish League Rookie of the Year, William Eklund was loaned to Djurgården after 9 NHL games, but it hasn't dampened his hype one bit. He will compete for the Calder, I'm struggling to read, in a top 6 role for the Sharks team lacking offensive bite. And that is something that San Jose has really lacked over the past couple of years, especially with some of those big players leaving, like Pavelski is definitely one of those big players. They have sucked when it comes to scoring goals. I think they had the league worst goals per game. It was absolutely terrible. They just did not play to the level they need to, 100%. And they definitely are significantly weak on the defense. But I think guys like, obviously, Bysted, Eklund, and Thomas Bordeleau, some underrated prospects down there in San Jose, could come into the lineup and battle for solidified NHL spots. I know I didn't mention all of them, but the rookies for San Jose, they don't have the deepest prospect pool in the world, but it has some solid players in it. I think that definitely these players battle for a spot in that lineup. It could get interesting there in San Jose, and maybe this team gets better faster if guys like Eklund and Bordeleau and Bysted and maybe some other guys they have down there, maybe they pan out. But we'll see. But obviously they're one of those teams. Your cup odds are 71-1, so I think no really surprise there. Many will argue it's even worse than that. Greer hit the ground running as he oversaw the draft and free agency and hired a new coach, all within the first few weeks. He said the Sharks might have to take another step back before they go forward, but he wants to be competitive again sooner rather than later. Now, I actually really like the direction that Mike Grier is heading with the San Jose Sharks 100%. I like how overall he made all these offseason moves, did some good stuff with the draft, did some good stuff at free agency, traded away that Brent Burns contract. They're playing it smart. They really are. I think they are. I mean, they're not going to be that good this coming season. Maybe they deal Meyer off for some draft picks and a solid prospect. Maybe they try and do that, and I think that could be something they want to do. But things are definitely looking up for the San Jose Sharks. Probably after this season, things will probably look better. But this is we're probably heading into the darkest days of this upcoming rebuild for the San Jose Sharks. Obviously, the next question is, do they make the playoffs in 2021? I said maybe because of how weak that division kind of really was and how open that fourth spot was in 2021. And then obviously in 2022, I said no because I just didn't think this team would be that good. But yeah, obviously with Evander Kane leaving, it makes the chemistry a whole lot better. And I think that overall, San Jose at this point is trying to build towards a brighter future. Playoffs may not be in that right now, but it definitely will be in the future, and I'm excited to see what this team is going to do. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. Fries Pros, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below if you are new. And anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.